Everyone seems to think that the smaller the class, the more beneficial the learning. I'm a big believer in increasing teacher quality instead of reducing class quantity. Listen to why in this next excerpt from the End of Molasses Classes audiobook. Number 10. Be excellent. One of the biggest challenges facing our education system is that we have professors all over our country sitting behind desks lecturing their education students on how to be dynamic and engaging teachers. The professors are dull, boring, and doing the exact opposite of what they are asking. Most of them haven't been in a classroom in years, if not decades. They not only teach to the test, they focus on what to do and not to do to get that precious tenure position. They aren't truly dedicated to preparing the next great generation of educators, and therefore, the local teacher training is being shaped by the low bar set by the local public school system. As Kim and I work with our teachers and our students, we want to make sure that if we are asking them to be innovative and to strive for excellence, we are always requiring the same of ourselves. If you expect something from others, you need to make sure you are demonstrating it yourself as well. During our pre-planning activities, Kim and I had a ton of information to share with our staff members, but we didn't want to just present it in a PowerPoint or go over it with a handout. That is the exact opposite of how we're asking our staff members to teach. Instead, we decided to turn the entire first day of planning into a Japan-themed event. We both dressed in traditional Japanese attire and hung Japanese lanterns all over the room. We placed pillows on the floor, hung a tent over the middle of the room, and turned each part of our presentation into an activity that matched the theme. We tied the Essential 55 and the expectations for our staff to the Code of the Samurai. We had the staff members write out wishes for our students and attach them to a wish tree. We served a traditional Japanese tea where we allowed each individual to express his or her goals and expectations for the upcoming year. After our traditional Japanese lunch, we went to my room where Kim and I had set up an activity where we all participated in authentic sumo wrestling. Well, we did our best, and we ended up rolling on the floor laughing more than anything else. And that was the point. We bonded and learned at the same time. It was a wonderful day, and it set the tone for the level of energy and effort we want our staff members to put into every activity that they do with our students. During the first week of school, we asked all staff members to prepare an hour-long presentation for the students. We wanted them each to introduce themselves to the students, to show pictures of their families, and to tell about their hobbies and interests. We feel it is crucial for the students to see the staff members as people they can relate to. We gave no more instruction than that, and as the presentation started, I decided to stick my head in the door to see how it was going. Wow! It completely blew my mind. The room was pitch black, and the Mission Impossible theme was playing. I saw Mr. Casa standing at the front of the room with the rest of the staff who were wearing all black and killer black shades. Mr. Casa was telling the students that they were about to embark upon a mission if they chose to accept it, and that it would involve working harder than they ever thought they could. It would require long nights, attention to detail, and pushing themselves beyond their academic limits. He told them that if they did indeed accept the mission, that they would not be alone. He then proceeded to introduce them to the support team for their educational mission, the faculty and staff of RCA. As the staff was introduced, they each described their personal qualities that could help the students' mission, and when and how the students should turn to each of them for assistance. As each person talked, a voguish picture appeared of him or her on the active board, in his or her best James Bond pose. Various pictures of them as children and with their families scrolled as each person talked about who they were and how they could contribute to the mission. The entire presentation was clever, flawless, and impressive. In short, it was excellence. At RCA, with everything we do, we ask ourselves the following questions. How can we make this better? How can we use this opportunity to create a special moment? Have we taken every effort to make sure that we have covered all of our bases? Are we prepared for any issue that may arise? And most important, have we done all we can to make it excellent? In all we do, we want to make sure we are going above and beyond to work at the highest standards possible. I remember years ago reading an article about actress Betty White. It said that she was a perfectionist who always showed up to the set with every single line memorized. She had committed every word to memory and was on point and ready to go. The article said that because she was so sharp and prepared, everyone with whom she worked learned their lines to the best of their abilities because they didn't want to let her down. They increased their effort because of the example of excellence she set. We have to remember that the level of performance we show others, especially our children, is what they will learn is acceptable. I recall a time when many students performed poorly on a challenging science exam for Mr. Townsell. It was 6 in the evening, and before I went home for the day, I stopped by his room to ask his plan for getting the students up to the high level we expect at RCA. When I got to his room, I saw Mr. Townsell teaching a review session. Every single student in the entire grade was sitting with his or her parent as Mr. Townsell went through the material step by step to ensure that the students, as well as their parents, mastered the information before he moved on. Now, that's excellence. At RCA, we are all committed to excellence in all areas, even our stomachs. I knew I loved Gina Koss the first day she showed up for work at RCA. She came in carrying enough homemade Hawaiian biscuits with ham for the entire staff. Bringing food for one another is beautiful, and it adds a sense of warmth and makes the school feel more like a home. And that's excellence. Mr. Bernardin is in charge of technology at RCA, and I call him Superman. He is a genius and has a commitment to excellence like I have never seen. He was driving back from a technology conference on a Friday night. He had driven 10 hours and was almost home. I sent him a text message and let him know that my computer wasn't working correctly and asked him to take a look at it on Monday. I went to the school the next day, on Saturday, to do some work and noticed that my computer was working. I later found out that Mr. Bernardin had gone to the school to fix the computer before going home. He was at the school until 4 that morning. He said, "Mr. Clark, I just couldn't sleep until I knew everything was working properly at the school." That's excellence. When I told Mr. DeVico the title of this book was going to be The End of Molasses Classes, he asked me if I had lost my mind. I loved the title and felt in my heart it was the name for the book, and even though it might not resonate with everyone initially, I just had a feeling in my bones it was the right call. Mr. DeVico could tell by the look on my face that his comment had hurt my feelings, and the next morning when I arrived at school, there was a bottle of molasses on my desk with a note of apology and congratulations on the new book. That's excellence. The first school where I taught in Aurora, North Carolina, was being torn down. My dad found a way to get in there and get them to let him take down the door to my classroom. He mailed the entire door to me as a birthday present with this note. "Dear Ron, I thought you might like to use this door as the desk in your office. It will provide you support as you continue to change the lives of children, just like you changed the lives of the students who walked through this door year after year." That's excellence. In each situation, I never expected those individuals to go that far above and beyond. They all had such respect for their jobs and for living their lives at a high standard that they pushed themselves to go a little further, to be clever, and to strive for excellence in all they do. When you have a team of people around you who work at that level, anything is possible in terms of happiness and achievement. Do this. Some of the things our teachers and parents do are actually easy, but they send a message to our students and have a wonderful impact. For example, number 1, don't gossip. If you are spending your time complaining about people who are gossiping, you're still gossiping. Stop. Show up on time. Whether you are a staff member showing up for work or a parent showing up to pick your child up from school or to attend a meeting with your child's teacher, it is imperative that you are on time. When you aren't on time, you send a message that you don't respect the time of others, and it can be perceived as extremely rude and send the wrong message to our children. Miss Mosley shows up at RCA before 7 a.m. each morning. She has never been late in her 4 years at RCA. She says she knows that children learn their behaviors from watching adults, and she is sending a message to them that being on time every day shouldn't be something that is unusual. It is expected. Number 3, return forms to the school in a timely manner. We hate having to track down parents for signed permission slips, report cards, and other items. Turn them back in the next day, not only to help the school, but also to teach your children about the value of being prompt and on time with assignments. Number 4, teachers and parents should stop to pick up even the smallest pieces of trash in your school. Work hard to keep it spotless and show your students, especially the ones that tend to be cluttered and disorganized, the strength of spirit and feeling of success that can be born out of living and working in a clean and organized environment. I'm sure most parents don't even think of picking up trash as they walk through the school hallways or parking lot, but if they did, the message it would send to others would be powerful. Number 5, teachers should correct grammar and triple-check emails and letters that are sent home to parents. Show that each email you send is worthy of being checked thoroughly. Parents should make sure their emails to teachers are respectful and appreciative. Number 6, dress your best. No wrinkles, rips, or sloppy clothing, especially for parents when they go to their child's school. Your child wants you to look sharp when you pick him up from school. He wants to be proud of you and show others that his parent is a professional.